Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to the minutes from April?
Car seats and bicycle rodeo.
Yeah, so this won't get on in time for that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
So this here, just sign up.
Jen?
Dog control,
What are you doing, riding cowboys?
Country Acres traveled 120 miles in April. The Justice Report, $5,265 in fines were collected in April.
Thanks, Jen. Highway report, Jeff?
Yeah, as the weather breaks, a lot going on. In the report, SEMO and FEMA, Barton and Judas has had their surveyors up on the East Hill project, and they're moving along. Got an email a couple weeks ago. Federal government for a long time has used the DUNS number, Dun and Bradstreet DUNS number, and as of April 4th, they've switched gears, and they've come up with a unique entity ID. I looked at the application and it's 18 pages long. So, Jim will be in touch on putting that together.
Okay. Is it
But
mandatory that we switch over?
as of April 1st, they've dropped all the DUNS numbers and our other, it's nuts. I'll tell you, I'm talking about pushing a rope uphill. The Marabito charging station, I sent out an email. The parking spots are in the town right away. And right before I left the shop tonight, I got an email from Glenn Benetti about that. And I told him we'd be chatting about it. And
I saw that. I was at the office. I
okay.
saw that.
So yeah, that's something we gotta look into. Also, I talked to a few of you, more of you about the old shop. This was just a bad month for a lot of things, so I don't table that for a month or put it on auction, whatever you want to do. But I think it's my apologies. It just things didn't come together this month. The doors on the restrooms were installed yesterday. There's some more tightening up and caulking to be done. Literally the old frames just bent right into it. They're all rotted right through. The trees out front, you can see a little better light out here. The birch that were hanging over the parking lot and the apple down back and a few other things all got trimmed up last week. The Preble Town cleanup went pretty well. State Fire Academy is going to be there tomorrow with trucks and trailers to take the furniture. Basically anything but mattresses. We saved it aside, kept it dry for them, and they're going to take it to Montour Falls and use it to mock up rooms for their training for the fire service.
Pretty smart.
So, any questions?
Does everybody know about the charging stations at Marabito? You know the story for that? Jeff, can you just give us a summary on that?
Well, I'm learning more practically every day, but that was owned by Mark Drum until sometime last year. I guess that both parcels up there have been sold to Marabito Holdings. And so they all the way back to the log cabin in the back. And so that supposedly these were going to be put in last year sometime, but until that transaction happened, I guess they didn't feel necessary or whatever reasons to push forward with it. So this winter, they were up there, and originally when I saw it, I said they're putting some kind, it's right by the drain that goes under 281. It's looking, I said, well, they're probably putting some kind of oil separator or something and save that because it was well off the right of way. So then last few weeks, they've set up 3-phase power pole, the chargers go in, okay. And then the very last thing they did is they poured curbing right out into the road. And I knew nothing about that it was going to access off of Curry Road. Just to refresh everybody's memory, about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, we had a lot of problems up there with parking on that road. And the town board passed it where there's no parking on either side of that road, full length of the road. Basically, you've got cars per their design, that are gonna be pulling in and backing into traffic within not that many feet of a stop sign onto a state road. And I don't know the legal end of it, but the traffic engineers I've had look at it are just shaking their heads going, where'd this come from? So that basically brings us up to where we're at.
Mhm.
And I just went up and met with a guy that was working on it. And I said, you blocked the gutter from draining towards the state road. The curbing is this much higher than the rain gutter. That's why all of a sudden there's this big pool of water out there. So I said, it's never going to be paving a day or two later. I said, you stop, because this is not good. So, but 90% of it, they had the fence around it. That was all over on their property until they put the curb out toward the road. So,
And I talked to Rick Fritz today too, and he has not given them any kind of a blessing on this thing at all. And he's kind of fighting with them a bit on it.
Yeah.
So if it's up to Rick, they're going to be moving these charging stations.
well, I talked to people from Colorado, New Hampshire, New Jersey, and Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And I've asked all of them the same question when I start the conversation. Have you been to the site?
Yeah, they're all looking at a diagram.
Right.
And I was Friday afternoon, I was on a Zoom meeting, with Google equivalent to Zoom. And, trying to put some heads or tails to this. And these are just cookie cutters. They're just dropping them out of the sky and
Yep.
poof. And so the one engineer, she just, I don't know how they got through. I don't know how this or that. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I said, if you stand there at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning or 5 in the afternoon and see the traffic that goes around there, it's crazy what you're asking to do here. So
Especially when Paul Bunyan gets going full bore all summer long with the
I
mulch.
was up there measuring, and there mulch trucks pulling in out of there and take your fender off if you weren't careful. So anyways, there's that. I sent some pictures over to Dave Orr over at Cornell Local Roads, and he said they've got 2 access points off of a town road. As far as anything else should be done from within their driveway. So, like I said, I don't know about the V&T ramifications of putting a parking spot and where you'd have to back out into traffic. That's not my ball of wax. But the whole thing just looks, it's a cookie cutter thing that they just slapped there. And my biggest question too, I said, what are we going to do with the snow? Well, I said, no, they push the snow out into our town road, and anytime there's 3 or more inches of snow, we're up there with a loader cleaning the road out, because before this, they're shoving it out into the road. And
Give it a ticket.
so that's your cousin.
I'll get them up here.
So anyways, that
Right.
kind of bring you up to speed what's going on right now.
So Rick has talked to the young engineer who you mentioned,
Yeah.
and Rick gave her some advice and said she needed to talk to the state and the local municipality before she does anything permanent like this. And so she kind of hemmed and hawed and said, no, I didn't know about that or whatever. And she was from Colorado. So again, nobody was here on site to look at it.
The name of the company is Electrify America.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it all started too back when they first proposed putting Marabito in there. There wasn't enough land originally to put that kind of space
Wow.
in there for the sewer and everything else. And, I work for the county, but here's something that the county pushed through there to get it in for a income. And there was not enough land there to start with.
My concern from the get-go was the snow removal, because you can go to Lowe's or, well, not Tops, but Great, whatever. And every inch of snow, they lose 8 or 10 parking spots. Boom, boom, and they keep losing it. And amazingly, they never lose a parking spot up there. So, and that snow ends up, we end up dealing with it. And, I called the contractor that's been doing it, and I said, you better up your price, because starting this year, I'm not playing that game anymore. I'm not gonna take a $180,000 front end loader up there and the salt and brine and everything, every time it snows 3 or 4 inches to clean that road out for you. You better come up with a way of moving that snow. I'm done. Because obviously it fell on deaf ears back then too. So if you go up there after a 6-8 inch snowstorm, you'll find there is very little snow of their own on their property. So anyways,
Okay,
so it's gonna be we'll see. I don't know where we're heading right now.
well, Rick is on top of this. He's aware of it. Don, you're aware of this now. So we'll see how it goes. Anybody have any more questions for Jeff? Okay. Recreation, Hank, you have anything?
Oh, yeah, the doors are on the bathrooms down there at the pavilion. Other than that, there's not, it's been pretty quiet.
Hank's been out there mowing.
But I've been down there mowing every day.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
If I do say so.
Was that part of that vandalized here recently?
Huh?
The swing set or something?
Didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, the one all-in-one type of play set. Thanks for bringing that up, Mike.
Yeah.
Hank, you talked to troopers or
Oh,
sheriffs?
they smashed up that.
There's some kids down there and beat that up, and it's I apologize, I didn't fell off my radar. You said that Pastor Tim Mauer said he thought he could fix some
Yeah.
of it.
There was a couple of guys there said they could put some of the slats back in.
The actual slide that comes off of that, looking at it, I think I'll be taken off. It's not even safe.
I saw it where they come down through that chute.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bolts are
I don't know. Don, I know I'm shooting from the hip here. As far as this, I know the Consumer Public Safety Commission has rules for parks and like that. That particular set, I think most everybody here has seen it, is like what you put out in the backyard for your grandkids to play on. It's not necessarily a commercial type set. And I'm just curious as to where we stand. Somebody gets hurt on something that's, everything's liability now.
Well, it's been that way for a while, yeah. If someone gets hurt, they're gonna look at the design and maintenance of the set. And if there's something deficient about it or defective, we're gonna be in the soup, yeah.
And I mean, a couple things on it when it was new, it looked a little fishy as far as sharp edges, not sharp, razor sharp, but not rounded, I should say, edges.
Wasn't a commercial place set.
It's not a commercial, no, it isn't.
I think they have to be anchored. They can't just sit on top.
It should be.
I also received a call from New York State Police in Homer, and I met with a trooper who took a deposition from me after we went and inspected the equipment there. And they're doing an investigation right now to find out who did the damage. And if we want to pursue this, I said, yes, I'd like to pursue this. People can't go to the park and just kick things in and destroy property. So they're in the process of talking to people and trying to find out who did it. And so they said if they're teenagers, if they're under 16, only so much we can do. If they're over 16, then, So anyway, that's ongoing right now.
We'd had that before down there. We made community service, made them do community service. Pick up the leaves out here.
Well, that's what he
break up
mentioned.
things.
If they're under 16, they can do community service. Right. So I just want to let everybody know that that's in the works right now. That's in process, and there'll be more information out there as that evolves too.
But if
Back to
there's
the,
concerns about safety, I guess the question is, what, if anything, we should be doing?
As our insurance company investigated it, because the last time they went down and inspected anything down there. And you said it's not right, and it is all over. And you took the slide out, and the slide is the same one as at the county, only the county is higher than the one we had. And the the slide was out back here, and I was a kid, went down it, no kid ever fell off it.
Well, our insurance company, Nymer, does come around once a year, I believe, right, Jeff? They come and pay us a visit and they inspect everything.
Well, it's every 3 or 4 years they pay a visit, and
Okay.
there's paperwork to fill out every year.
Right,
yes.
right. But a visit
It
is,
used to come every year.
I guess you,
Well, I can't speak to it now because COVID screwed everything up.
yeah,
so I haven't seen them in at least 2 years.
but they do come and visit and they look at these things and they would red flag something that they don't think is safe, they don't want to insure.
Well, should we get a hold of them and have them look at it?
We could, we could call them and ask them to take a look at it next time they're in the neighborhood.
Cover our,
So,
Yeah.
back to Don.
As far as the bathrooms down there, they're not leaving them open unless there's something going on, correct?
That'd be a question for Hank.
You're not leaving them bathrooms open down there all day, are you?
No, they got the new ones in.
Yeah, but I mean, you keeping them locked up, right? During the
Yeah.
days? Only time they're open is
That's
when
what
there's
we're-
something going on down there, right?
That's what we got, yeah.
Because if they're tearing anything up, they'll tear the bathrooms up, you know?
Right.
No, the water, everything's working fine.
Okay.
All the lights are sparkling inside.
County legislator, Devin, you're up.
I'm just here. So the redistricting, so we did our proposal, the commission did, we're waiting for a public hearing. That we have to do, we're sticking with the 17 legislators. The first 17 Preble was broke up. This proposed one, Preble is whole. So I'm good with that. So once that public hearing comes, then at this session, when it passes, it has to pass by just a majority vote. Once that's done, we're done. So there's only a little tweaking on there
And Kevin, just so everybody understands, this is redistricting
for
for
count.
county legislators, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
So if the first scenario was that Preble was split, would we have two legislators that would come and give us reports?
Yep. For a sliver.
Yeah, right, for a sliver.
Yeah, it was just the little east side, just a
Mhm.
little sliver.
Yeah, makes no sense.
Which didn't make sense, but
So, can I ask this, Kevin?
Yep.
May or may not know, if, when you pick up population somewhere else, they would then have to go to some other polling place?
Mhm.
So we would have people coming here from north end of Homer, or how would that work?
well, if it was split up, you would have had to go to Truxton. Not that area. For that.
But it's all based on the polling place, not the person's address per se.
Mhm. For the district, yeah.
I got thinking about it, thinking if it was per the person's address, now if you only have a few dozen people, there's technically a way that those votes could be
Well,
column, if you will.
well, the way that the great federal government works is when they do the census, they're the ones that draw up these blocks. So, like the town of Preble could have 30 blocks. And in those blocks is a population number. So what you can't, there were so many restrictions on what you can and cannot do. And then we used to be plus or minus 10% from all the other districts. Well, now what they did was they shrunk it to 5%. So even if we kept it the same, you would still have to do some expanding or whatever. So you cannot break up a block. So that was the other hard part. You had to take each one of these blocks and then you had to add them up, and then You had to see what the other ones, and really what happened was the city is most populous area. It went from that way out. And once you figure out what the city decides they want to do or what the number is, then figures out what these are. So if you go on the east side of the county, that legislator for one of the proposed maps had almost 6 towns. So which another didn't make sense. Well, the city, they're saying, well, that makes perfect sense. They're out in the country. It's like, well, drive it. Really drive it. Try to figure out anything. You know, so, and I know it's on streaming, but we did get picked on because it must have been because the chair didn't want Preble to be broke up. It's now whole. So why are they whole and not the village of Homer? Village of Homer, they wanted their own district. There's about 3,200 residents in that. Well, it still didn't meet the population part, because if we stuck at 32, we would have had to have dropped down to 11 legislators, and we didn't want to do that. Didn't want to go from 17 down to 11, just like that. Because the one thing we did find out, so we had the commission, which is legislators, and then we had a citizens advisory board on there with us. And what we did find out is the majority of them didn't know what a legislator did at all. So once we told them what we do, the hours that we put in, and that, all of a sudden, oh, that's why you need 17. And we were like, absolutely. You need that representation throughout the, you know, and they based everything on other counties, and well, we dropped 2,500 people. We don't need that many. But until you get into that part, so what we're going to be doing is we're kind of doing kind of an outreach for schools, for high schools, and so that they're going to be coming in to the county. Pretty much it's their government classes are going to come in so that they get an understanding about the legislature as a whole. Other than that, it's pretty quiet. We are talking about the smoking policy with the county, solely because they threw marijuana smoking in with tobacco. So I went to a county, I don't know if I told you. So I went to a conference in Albany, came back to drop off the county card. And while I was waiting for my wife, here was a gentleman that uses the services sitting on the curb at the county office building. And I've never really smelt it before. I'm like, what the heck is that nasty smell? And he sits right here and he goes, hey, sir, how you doing? And he's smoking his joint. And there's kids coming through with their parents. And I went over to the sheriffs that were doing the check-in, and I said, I thought they had to smoke that in their own home. And they're like, nope, they put that under tobacco. They can smoke it wherever they want to. So I said, not in the county. So we're putting through that you can't smoke on county property. And this is including Dwyer Park, because it's just not the right place to smoke a joint while you're letting your kids play on the playground. So that's going through right now. The problem is it's all or nothing. So it's employees, everybody that goes to the county office building and county things. That's pretty much our hot topic. Does anybody have any questions?
Putting a sign up in New York Park.
We will.
I can't imagine. I mean, not just smoking pot, but smoking cigarettes not being allowed at the park. That's gonna be, I mean, I don't smoke, but there's gonna be people that are,
It's gonna be all or nothing, I know. We'll see how.
that's
it
gonna be a
goes.
tough one to,
And how's that
It's gonna
enforced?
be a hard one to enforce.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put the law out there, you know.
We're gonna put the law sitting right there. We'll have them write some tickets for a while until they get sick of them.
especially when you can drink.
So,
So there's no smoking in the county parking lot either then?
But you can consume alcohol.
not at the county park.
Sure they do.
Well, we're gonna have to figure things out.
CRT,
They
CRT.
sell it.
Permitted. But they have a permit. And they have to drink under the pavilion. So there's designated areas that they,
Okay, because there's a lot of graduation parties down there.
that they have to too. So as long as they have a permit, then it's on them.
On the lighter side, pass it up to the
It's
highway,
straight
there,
outside.
thanks for paving the road.
Yeah, it's a
And on
nice
high
road. I don't know about that. What's going on? They're probably trying to butter you up for something.
Why didn't they do the whole thing?
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Right? That's what I look at. So they didn't go to your house?
They went down by mine.
That's all that
Well,
matters.
no. Under the bridge,
What?
It's all that matters.
under the overpasses down past the bridge, it's like, why don't they just go up, then when they go to do the road again, they do the whole thing, not just pieces.
They probably.
Under the bridge
Yeah.
and down.
Yeah.
Under the 81, twice, two different places. They stopped.
But that was just paved 5 or 7 years ago when they did the bridge.
But it
Yeah,
looked
you
a
know,
lot
But there's a
nicer.
drum, that's, when you drive over it, you can feel it,
Oh, yeah.
the change.
The only other good thing is that
It's
we've
done.
had complaints for probably about a year or 2 years about the landfill and about the smell that's going out to Solon and to McGraw. And one of the problems that we're having is we're getting almost to a point, I think we got like 36 more feet to go before the next cell has to be capped and covered. So one of the problems that we've been getting is heavy rainfall. And once you get a lot of rainfall with the wind, it just doesn't, the smell just goes right down the valley. And it's gotten to my parents' house. It's just like, man, what's that stink? You know? So what we did was had some meetings, and Barton and Judas is who we contract with for the landfill. They're engineers. And we now authorized and approved at legislation a methane capturing system to capture it, and it burns off the methane gas. The good thing is for us to do it now is that it came out of sales tax revenue, and the sales tax that we ended up spending for that was 1.7 million for this methane capturing. In 2024, it's going to become a requirement anyway by the DEC. So we're a little bit ahead of the game. And because we're ahead of the game, we can take, and they have these carbon credits that if we capture and then it meters and we burn it, then these manufacturing can buy these carbon credits from us to help, you know, with their pollution that they're dealing with wherever. So in 10 years, with our carbon credits, that we can make 3.2 million in revenue from those carbon credits. So because we did it voluntarily, we're good. If we waited until 2024, we couldn't do that. So once we have these carbon credits, then we're good forever for these. And the system's going to be big enough to capture the other cells that we don't have open yet. So it's a big plus for us. The next thing is the the Leachate Pipeline. So I proposed, some years ago, it was proposed to have a Leachate Pipeline. So I brought that back up, working with the mayor, Cortlandville, McGraw, and we want to link the pipeline from the landfill to McGraw, and then get into that system to the wastewater treatment plant in the city. The good thing about this is that we've been getting nailed pretty good by the DEC, and our fines are right around $10,000, $20,000 for smells and the leaking. I mean, it's just covered. You know, we are supposed to put 6 inches of cover. Oh, it's not enough because we can still smell it. So then we get a fine. So by doing the methane capturing and then the leachate is going to reduce the smell easily by 80% that we're getting. And working with other municipalities, this could be a fully funded project. So we're really hopeful on this part. And I took a tour out there, and I did not know that we have these leachate lagoons that are just sitting there collecting rainwater and all that stuff. And we have trucks that are running 24 hours a day, pumping that leachate out, going on our roads over to the wastewater treatment plant and dumping there. So it helps out the city system if it just trickles in, because they end up getting a lot of phosphorus, and they get hit with fines for having too much phosphorus as well. So having that, the environmental impact that with one of those trucks gets in an accident, we've got a major nasty mess. So we get rid of the truck hauling, we get rid of the overtime, and we figure with just that alone, not doing any hazmat, that we could be saving over $200,000 a year in just that trucking. So it's a big ticket number, but in the long run, it's gonna save a lot. So there.
Any questions for Kevin? Thanks, Kevin. Yeah. Jen?
Zoning and code enforcement, April report. 5 building permits issued, 78 miles traveled, 14 building inspections, 42 hours work, 3 fire inspection, 9 complaint follow-ups, and 28 telephone inquiries. The next planning board meeting is May 25th at 7 p.m. The next zoning board meeting is June 2nd at 7:30 p.m.
Thanks, Jen.
Yep.
Historian, Jay is not here today. Jen?
Total fees collected for April, $977, dispersed $970 to the town of Preble and $7 to New York State Ag and Markets.
Okay, so now we get into unfinished business and new business. I think we'll start off with Don Fisher. He's been sitting there, can't wait to tell us what he's gonna tell us.
No
So,
problem,
Don?
no problem.
Yeah.
So actually, there are 2 topics, and one is kind of unfinished and the other is new. So I'll go through the newsletter one first real quick. The Preble Seniors Club has done a great job of getting themselves organized, and so they've got a full agenda. I think we've passed out some copies of stuff. And when we started off, they only had like 3 or 4. When we started collecting info for the newsletter, they only had 3 or 4 days, and then suddenly they blew it out to a full calendar. So this won't fit in the newsletter as just another item, and so the idea was developed to create it as an insert in the newsletter, something that people can put on their refrigerator or easily keep track of what's going on. It'll cost probably in the range of $200 for us to print this and send it out to everybody in Preble, which is cheaper than it would be to do it as a standalone piece. So I just wanted to make sure that the board was okay with approving an extra expenditure in the range of a couple $100 for this. Anybody see any problem with that?
Don, do we need a resolution on this?
I mean, you got money budgeted for that? I mean, is it,
The money is budgeted for the newsletter. I don't know how much money, $2,500 or $3,000 for the newsletter. So we're adding another $200 or so to,
I don't think it'd be a bad idea,
Yeah. Okay. So we need a resolution to print this insert and include it in the newsletter for this one time. Anybody
I'll
want-
make a resolution to go ahead and print that for the newsletter.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Right.
Carried. And then, Don, we need a contact phone number on this sheet.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we'll do some expansion
Okay,
of this now that we're gonna do this. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it if we weren't gonna do it.
Right.
So the second thing is reporting back on the LWRP, the Local Waterfront Revitalization Program that we funded. It's been a while since we've heard anything on it. The project has been delayed dramatically. I don't have a really good reason from Toma about why that was, but we're probably looking at wrapping it up about a year after the original target date. But the main reason I'm here tonight is that we're at the part of the project where they're developing programs, a list of programs that the communities involved would like to see potentially developed along this riverfront area. It can be things like sound buffers, enhanced access for gaming, for fishermen or kayakers or whatever. It could be a range of things, a blue water trailway you had mentioned at the last meeting that I was at. So these projects go into this plan and and the plan gets adopted, and then those projects become more eligible, more likely to be able to be funded through grants, through state funds, through federal funds, if they're listed in this program. So what I want to do is I want to make you aware of this. If the town wants to conduct a kind of brainstorming session or whatever and develop plans, I'd be happy to meet with whatever group, Jim, you want to appoint to do that. The Toma is going to run 3 public meetings. One of them is going to be in Preble. I believe that the meeting in Preble is going to be on June 21st. They're targeting to hold it in Dwyer Park in one of the pavilions. But I will have more information on that probably in the next couple of weeks and give that to you. But I want to make sure that this group had the opportunity, if you want, to put in any projects that you would like to see. Putting a project into this plan does not guarantee that it's going to be accomplished. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, it as I mentioned, it makes it more readily fundable from grants and from state and federal money. So,
Okay, we'll take one step at a time.
Right.
We'll go to the meeting on June 21st. And
well, so if the town wants to have its own specific set of programs, I would suggest that we work on that in between now and the middle of June. Because Tom is looking for input separately. So I'm getting together with the Lake Association. We're going to put in some stuff around the lake. I'm going to meet with Friends of Dwyer Park and get them to put some input in. But the town of Preble may want to have its own input specific to this. So I don't think that there's any specific action to be taken tonight, but unless you guys want to agree that maybe there's a subset of you that we meet and put together some recommendations. So
there's nothing that I can think off the top of my head, but maybe Jeff has some ideas and we can discuss that.
Okay.
Later.
Okay. All right. Well, let me know if you want to have any more engagement.
I will.
Okay.
I don't think I said all in favor on this. So all in favor? Aye. Okay, good. So got that done.
Okay.
Concerning the newsletter, I just want to say that Don is doing a great job with the newsletter, and he's got, the newsletter is full of material, actually probably more than what we need, and we're putting some off to the fall. So, Don's just done a great job with putting this all together, and,
Lots of people have contributed. So,
yeah, we have a lot of contributors, and again, with any newsletters, think about the fall, if anybody on the board or anybody in this room wants to contribute a little blurb or a big article, let us know.
I have to say that the Memorial Day speaker that we were able to get, Dave, is awesome. Dawn Deskins, I had a really lovely chat with her. Interview. There's a really, I think it's a good profile of her in coming out in the newsletter. You'll see her before Memorial Day.
She's probably
Seen a lot.
Yeah.
she's probably one of the highest profile speakers we've had, in my time anyway. So
Yeah,
she
so
should
she's
be an
gonna be
interesting
awesome.
speaker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for doing that.
Very good.
Yeah.
No worries.
Okay, thanks, Don.
Alrighty.
All right.
Thanks.
You Don?
Oh, sure. Oh, thanks.
Maybe you should have left.
Last, yeah.
Okay, so let's jump back to unfinished business. Jim, you have any information on street lighting for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to, make sure if, Mike, did you get any of that sent to you? I think Jen sent it out, but, I just want to see if, if you didn't, if you could review it some, we need your input to it, but what it was, I contacted, National Grid and, the representative, and, they, on converting our town to LED lights. So they give us a report, told us how many lights we have, 62, and, as the lights, are replaced, they're replaced with LED anyways, but, so
So they're phasing out the yellow lights,
they're phasing out the,
the sodium.
sodium lights, yeah.
Mhm.
And as they go bad too, they replace with LEDs. And but if we go ahead and do the program, it's like a 6-month payback. It's $40,000 dollars, yeah. And if we go ahead, so we'll be saving money sooner than later.
Now, okay, so let's just say that one of our lights go out and they're gonna replace it with LED. Do they charge us for that, give us a special charge on that lamppost?
That's what we have to ask our, not our rep, but our, the person that's in charge of our, project, our town.
Okay, so
So-
suppose after a few years, just by lights going out, we let them replace each light pole. Is that gonna cost more or less than us signing up and doing this all ourselves, in one shot,
Well, if we do it all in one shot, we have a 6-month payback. Then we're saving money
right?
in 6 months rather than you're stretching it out, you're kicking the can down the road and you're spending money and eventually you get there, but
And
you
then
can get there sooner.
2 different lightings every other,
Yeah,
as they
and then
go
you
out.
have the 2
Right.
different lightings.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I would be in favor of, just getting it done,
We're one of
Put me
the-
out.
we're almost the last ones to convert it. Most other towns have done that. And to answer your question about the color, you were requesting like a yellow.
There's a range of colors.
There's a range, yeah. So, and I got some information about that. And yeah, you were requesting like a yellowish color, which that is the most, what they call it, a warm, that is the most preferred color on the spectrum of the range. I've got a Kelvin's chart here and stuff, and it can be looked up, but that's what they recommend. So for example, light at 2000K to 3500K looks more orange and yellow and is called ultra warm or warm white. So as the temperature increases in the Kelvin, the color changes to more of a paper white. And up, so, but they're suggesting the 2000 to 3500 range, which puts it into the yellowish range. So when we get our contact, to go ahead or to
Mhm.
ask more questions that, does our account, we can, pursue that and see if we have what choices we have.
Mhm.
So that would be the next step if we're all in favor, like to go ahead
Mhm.
with finding out more information on it
Right.
before we pull the trigger. That's what we can do.
Now, is this something that we want to do right away, or do we want to put it into next year's budget?
I would say with the
Because-
amount of money we're talking, that we could do it this year, and then we would just save more in a way. It'd be another almost a year before you recoup any savings.
Okay,
But that's, what the board
Right.
wants to do.
right. Well, I think we're all in agreement that we want to move forward on this, right? It's going to save us street lighting costs.
So I would request, if I could, email the information, the contact, and I got our account number and everything to Jen, so she could contact, National Grid,
Sure.
be okay.
You have no problem.
Then, you know how it is when you call National Grid.
National Grid.
So, if she could do that, then, she could, she had my email, bring it back, and then, I get information on it, and I could email it. Jen could email it to everybody,
Right,
so in the next meeting, we'd have more information.
I know there's.
okay.
Need to make a motion tonight?
I don't think we need to make it, well, I don't know, we would need
No,
to make
I
a
think
motion
it's
to
still an
get, it's just
exploratory-
We're
getting
just
more.
proceeding, at this, we're just
information.
pursuing it, you haven't
Yeah.
made a final decision. No,
Yeah.
You're fine.
Okay, good. So we'll continue this ball rolling.
Okay,
Thanks for your work, Jim.
yeah, okay, thanks.
All right. Next item on new business is Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony. I've talked to all of you as to whether you're gonna be in town, board members and town clerk. And, because we need to organize this parade and ceremony by making signs and reserving cars and that kind of thing. Kevin, are you gonna be around on Memorial Day for the parade and ceremony? You'll be here?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good, we'll set you up too.
Ice cream.
So I've contacted almost everybody here, and so we're moving forward with this. We have a fantastic guest speaker, thanks to Dave. He recruited this guest speaker that is just has a phenomenal resume, and we have Homer Band who's going to be here. Of course, the Tully Color Guard, and then Preble Congregational Church will be representing us with prayers. So, and then Dave, you're going to take care of the ice cream?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I need somebody to help out with signs. We have these signs that go on the side of the cars. We'll probably have, I would say maybe 5 cars or 6 cars or something. And I did them for a number of years, and then we had another board member who did them for a number of years, but we could kind of split up the work a little bit, where somebody does some, I'll do some. And if anybody wants to volunteer for that, just let me
Maybe
know.
a couple people do it.
Yeah.
rather than one.
If we just kind of sparse it out to everybody, and,
I'd be glad to swap the computer thing for the sign.
well, the signs is a once a year thing.
That's a no.
Yeah.
That's already go.
So if you want to do something like this, if you have an artistic flair, then just let me know, and we can split it up a little bit. But
So
so
if we get there early, we get there early, or a couple of us.
Yeah.
Now, who's making, is the signs made up? You mean making the signs?
these
actually?
these will be pre-made. Like what you do is
Okay,
you get, and I'll get the paper.
okay.
It's like a
Up the size of the calendar, right behind you.
it's like a paperboard kind of thing about that size, and you just, there's going to be 4 people to a car. So if there's a driver, maybe 3 people to a car, and you just write the person's name, like the board member, or legislator's name, or who's ever in that car. And so, and you put that on one side, then who's ever sitting on the other side of the car, their name would be on that side of the car. So it's just so that the public knows that they can see who their board members are for Preble and their county legislator, because probably most people in the town don't really know who we are. They don't come to the meetings. They see some pictures once in a while if they look at the pictures, but if they go to the parade, they can actually see us. And, so the parade organization is coming along well, and I don't really see any glitches in it, except if we have bad weather. So pray for good weather for the parade. It always helps when we have weather like this. So, like I said, we have a great speaker coming, and we should have a good crowd, because we didn't do a parade last year, and the year before that we were deep in COVID too. Jeff did a small event with people that came out, but we haven't really had a full-fledged parade and ceremony for 3 years now. So this will be the third. We skipped 2 years, just 2 years, yeah. So
So what time we gotta be at the bowl?
be at the Boulder at 10:45. Parade starts at 11. If you want to maybe help out a little extra, you can be there at 10:30. There's always something to do. So, any questions about the parade? Okay. Okay, we received, from Cortland County, we received for snow and ice removal, $9,716.20. And that was for this, the plowing sharing service, right, Jeff? That
Yes,
was
last payment for this last winter.
plowing contract, yeah. Mortgage tax, we received $13,781.94. And it looks like first quarter sales tax, we received $134,446.81. And Kevin, I just want to ask you, our sales tax is up this year, right?
Up 14.4%.
Okay,
I wouldn't.
that's pretty significant.
Oh, I wouldn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So we have a windfall this year, but next year may be different.
I don't think so,
No?
honestly. I mean, I go by what my mother does. She's 80 some odd years old, and she still does Amazon.
Right?
She's a buying fool.
Yeah.
And I think since sales tax was, added for online purchases, and the state seems to the same thing, the state comptroller. Between that and actually we're, that AIM funding that they took away from our sales tax to distribute out, that's now being paid by the state. And the debilitated nursing facilities fund, that tax diversion that they took money from, that was stopped, and we're getting that 500 million back. So that's just me. That's what I think, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, I know Gina and I, when we go over the budget, we always figure conservative. We always figure, like kind of an average of the last 5 years or so.
Yeah.
And because we don't want to overextend ourselves in our budget. So this is a windfall that we're getting right now in our budget. And I do know that the economy is slowing right now. There's businesses in the area that tell me that their sales are slowing pretty drastically. The interest rates have been rising. Gas prices, of course, are high.
But you get more sales tax.
Stimulus checks are not there anymore for people, so they're not spending that extra money. So it'll be kind of interesting year to see how this plays out.
Yeah, and one of the things that was brought up was, not taxing heating fuels, for county tax to try to help it out. So we looked at 2021's sales tax revenue for heating fuel for Cortland County. It was over $1 million. So at that point, we were like,
I think it'd be a
Didn't
good
want to
idea.
give
I
away
think it'd be a good
$1 million.
idea.
yeah, it's kind of hard to not do the $1 million. So there's things that we're still thinking of
Maybe we just
being
reduce
able to
it.
do. But,
And when would you make a decision on that?
oh, for the heating fuel?
Yeah.
Nothing. We're not doing it.
We're not doing it, okay.
I think it'd be a good idea. Onondaga County doesn't charge sales
Tompkins
tax,
County doesn't.
and Tompkins.
Well,
Look
look
at
at,
the other money
well,
you
look
just
at
said,
Tompkins County.
but you just said,
They got Cornell University that I'm part of gives Tompkins County a lot of money.
but you just said we're getting this other income, the state's gonna pay it, so there it is.
Fuel's a necessity.
Oh,
For
I'm
your
serious.
house.
It is. I just got nailed with a $1,200 bill.
Right.
Totally understand.
I mean, the cost of fuel, now you won't take that tax away.
What is that? You know?
Sure.
But if we take that away, we have to find $1 million somewhere.
You
And
just
that
said
would-
you're getting money back
We're
from the
not gonna
state
get $1
there.
million.
Well, ask me one more.
Because I don't want to come in here and have someone say, oh, you raised your taxes, because I can guarantee you this year, 2023, we're not raising taxes.
Okay, open for public comment. Questions, anybody? Yeah. One other thing that I want to bring up is we received a certificate concerning the Older Americans Month 2022, which is the month of May. And this is certificate of recognition and appreciation to the town of Preble and its volunteers by Sandy Price, who's chairperson of the Health and Human Services Legislative Committee. And so I want to present this award to Dave, who spearheaded our senior group, and he's got a few words to say.
This isn't really presented to me, it's presented to the town and all the volunteers. And I'm just gonna name Betty Ann and myself, and Dale and Gail Mosier, and the Pierces, and Sue Wright, which is our core. You don't realize how much work this really takes until you get started. And then for every we obviously got the grant through the county, and for every grant, you have to jump through hoops, and we've been jumping through them pretty good. And I can't thank the county enough for this, and it's a thing that our seniors needed to do with this COVID situation. You know, there's so many of them weren't able to get through this COVID, and I'm thanking the county for this grant proposal. Or it's done. I mean, and hopefully there'll be another one in the following year. You know, but this is for the town and for all the volunteers and all the members of the senior group. Thank you.
Thanks for your work, Dave.
Hey, Jim, one other quick thing. Last month's meeting, I got up and left in a big hurry, and we had a car fire over on Route 11. And the membership of the fire department is really suffering right now. So if you know of anybody, Dave, who's got time on their hands to that one, that would like to volunteer and because the next few years, I think it's going to be pivotal to where we're headed as a town and a fire department. You know, with getting new membership and keep moving forward, because you know we'll have X people at a meeting, but when the horn drops off, you don't have anybody showing up. So we need to do something about that. Or if you want to talk about tax rates and things, it could get expensive if you had to hire or wait for a department to come from miles away or anything like that. So just want to throw that out there.
Thanks, Jeff.
And do you have any, like, 50-year members?
We're only 42 by the end.
So no 50-year?
We had some 60+ years, but they're passing away on us. So
It's difficult for a town that is losing population to to find volunteers. But we will look around, Jeff. Thanks for bringing it up. Okay, we need a
Well, the
motion
problem is
to,
they
anybody
get
else
in
with
the
anything?
department, but they don't never respond or anything.
Okay. We need a motion to pay the general fund vouchers.
Make a motion to pay general fund vouchers, abstracts number 5, number 78 to 98, totaling $9,795.23.
All in favor? Carried. Need a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers.
I'll make a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers, abstract number 5, numbers 29 to 42, totaling $17,619.08.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Carried. Need a motion to pay, to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Carried. We adjourn.
Hard to get out of these chairs, isn't it?
I know, that's fine.
What the LED lighting is there for the program?
You missed it. Did you know what I said? That's great. That's great. Took that.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Hey, Jeff, how do you turn this off?
Except it's beautiful. Mother's Day yesterday.
That's what I do. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm telling you, God, this thing,
Yeah, my,
Yeah.
son was a
it's huge. You don't understand,